Okay. Let's call the meeting to order. Please join us for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Good evening. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you taking your time to attend our meeting and welcome your comments. If you would like to share your thoughts with the board, please state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes to allow everyone an opportunity to speak. Please understand we will not respond to your comments or questions at this time, but if you would like a response, please be sure to include your phone number or email address on the sign-in sheet by the door. Please note that public comments for items on the agenda will occur during the first comment section and all other comments occurring during the second comment section. Comments should be in reference to an interest or topic, not an individual or a position. Anyone who wishes to address the board, please step up to the podium and turn on the microphone so we can all hear your comments. Thank you. Our first item on the agenda is item number 4, correspondence. I don't believe we have anything. We'll go to item number 5, which is a public comment session for items that are on tonight's agenda. I don't believe we have anyone for that one. Item number 6 is going to be budget presentation 2023 to 2024. Program component by Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Human Resources, Mr. Bob Whitaker.
Hey, thank you. March. Go a little out of order, but first I want to review tax cap calculation that has been submitted to the New York State Office of State Controller. It's a formula that's designed by them, but I want to bring a couple particular points to you today. Most of these numbers are given to us by the state. 1.02 tax cap growth rate. This number right here, we have a good news from the state occasionally. This number right here happens to be negative, but you're not allowed to enter a negative number in your calculation. So that minus $200,000 serves us well right now. After all the calculations are done, we have the ability to raise taxes 2.46% or $519,000 with a simple majority. Last year, we had a tax cap of 3.57% and only raised them 0.8%. So we have a carryover effect, which calculated here brings us to our carryover, which we're able to add. So cumulatively, we have a $500,000 swing in our natural tax cap. So what we have here is a 2.46% possible increase. Anything above that number would require a supermajority. I tell the state every time when I enter this at the end of February, we don't plan on overriding the tax cap. The tax cap is a number. When we get into the revenue shortly thereafter, we'll talk about that. It does not mean we're going to raise taxes that amount. It doesn't mean anything. It's a simple calculation that we're required to submit to the state of New York. As we move forward in the next month, we will finalize that tax revenue for next year as we move forward. So simplistically, submit it to the state of New York due by March 1st, and that's the calculation as it came out for the year. Any questions? So now let's take a look at our revenue. As of today, if we plugged in our tax cap number, maximized it at $21 million, we take the current governor's proposal on state aid, our best estimate on other revenue. Annually, we apply $1.5 billion from fund balance to next year's budget. Currently, we would say that we can afford a budget of $36,383,500. The state aid number, just before I came over here, April 1st, the deadline for the governor and the state to pass a budget. Seems like there's a 50-50 notion there right now. Haven't heard a lot about how the Assembly and the legislature are addressing the legislative proposal from the governor. There's a lot of negotiations taking place. It used to be the infamous 3 men, 3 people in a room. Still happens a little bit to that way, but there hasn't been a lot of information coming out. This number in the fund balance. A few years ago, we actually raised above that. It's very consistent. We try to remain consistent there, but there is money there. Not billions, but there is money to play there with that. So with our revenue, that's our anticipated revenue stream as of today. Like I said, there's a lot of questions to be asked in the next month. Where do we go with taxes? Where do we go with our final budget? And how do we match the two? Anybody have any questions? Okay. Oh, click. Not that it'll do me any good, but. Okay, sorry about that. Technology. Program component for this year. Program component is broken up into quite a few different sections. The legal portion of it. Legal portion basically refers to our retainer, the money that our lawyer will look at on general operation during the course of the school year. Regular school, pre-K through 12, in-house. Special education deals with our special education classes held both on campus and off campus. OCED, all our occupational therapy, other instructional, the small unit you'll see like the adult ed, and a couple other spots. Services, everything we provide in services, guidance, nursing, psychology, all the services we provide on campus. Athletic and extracurricular, our transportation on a daily basis and off campus, small amount of other employee benefits and interfund transfers. Our proposed increase as we go through this for this year is going to be right now at 2.98%. You can see large increases in our regular school, special education, small decrease in employee benefits, which I'll review, and our services has a large increase. This is it, more in a nutshell, and I actually forgot to eliminate one of these, so Janet was helping me today play with Google, and I wasn't having fun. The notes and the highlights. In that value that you're going to see at the end, mine subtracted out of that is $950,000 salary, $950,000 of grants. This is not the ARP grants, the ESSER grants, the federal government grants that were printed as a result of COVID. These are our standard annual grants, all the title grants that Mrs. Kelly writes and manages, and the IDEA, which Danielle takes care of, Mrs. Barney. In this current version, non-filled positions that were not filled this year are still in the budget. Social worker, budget, special education increases. BOCES expenses are rising for a variety of reasons, like everybody else's, but over 5%. Our off-campus amount of students is increasing, and their costs are increasing. But the special education has become very transitional after COVID. Not only in Tri-Valley, but in many. Kids are on the move, there's more needs, the wellness of students, or the lack thereof at times, is showing up, so there's a lot of transition in the nature of special education in the state of New York and across the country. This year, at the end of this year, and it's in there, we have brought in a fourth psychologist just recently, so that's an increase for an FTE in the budget for next year. CPI for transportation increases estimated at 7% for next year. It was 6.3% this past year. Estimated at 7 because CPI is wavering a little bit. This year and next year, I am going to be able to use some of the American Rescue funds to offset the transportation increase cost to about $75,000 to $100,000. Also, we've been very lucky with a couple neighboring districts to share some of our off-campus runs. So that basically we shared the cost of it. $80,000 a year. We split it at 40-40 or whichever how many kids are there. So that's been helpful. We had a decrease in employee benefits. Most of it's related to insurance. Not that insurance went down, but doing a deeper dive into, we've had a lot of transition in the past 2 or 3 years with people in and out. Our individual and family mix coverage has changed a little bit. We have quite a few more people on individual than we do on family, and that's about a $22,000 a year savings to the district. Plus, we have a few more buyouts. Just one of the annual things that goes on. And you'll see the interfund transfers, rising special education costs in the summer, which we went over very early at the start of the budget season, is requiring me to put more money in interfund transfers. I don't know if we would call that 80%, 20%. The district is responsible for 20% of special education costs over the summer. The government picks up 80%, but we have a few more kids that are needing summer off campus, so those costs have gone up, so we have a little bit of interfund transfer to cover. I went through that pretty quickly. Does anybody have any questions before we delve into where we have to get to?
You mentioned the buyouts for health insurance. What is our buyout for health insurance if an employee chooses not to take it?
One bargaining unit is $3,107, and the other one is $3,200.
Thank you.
Reference to hours for teaching assistants, I see it doubled in 1 year.
We had, one of the things we did 3 or 4 years ago, we talked to a lot of our teacher aides. We made a push to go from our teacher aides to move out of the teaching aid area into teaching assistants because it gives them a little more opportunity to be more involved in the true education of our students. And we have 4, and I think there's a couple others that are certified that have gone on and gotten the certification as a teaching assistant. So, number one, it makes us have a better handle on our ability to teach areas. Plus, they make more money, which is good. So, if you look at our aides over the past few years, as we have some attrition in aides when people retire, we're trying to move into teaching assistants. Anything else right now?
Library, I see, library element. Went down in 1 year. Did we lose one?
No. Long story here. We had a senior person in there that was making more money as we hired a new librarian. The person that was in there was not a library media specialist. We now have 2 library media specialists on campus. We went a couple of years having trouble to find that. So we did have an experienced teacher in there who did a great job, but she ended up back in the classroom, so there's a shift there. Plus, it used to be that we had a dedicated aide that used to work in that area, and now it's not there. So that's why. Anything else? Okay, Janet, let's do it.
Oh no.
Huh? Yeah. Okay. What I wanted to show you in the 3-part budget, I'm really upset. But I shared them, I think, with all of you. Aaron, if I share that right now, can you get that up? Yep. I apologize.
Can I share it for you?
Do you have, anybody has that 3-part document?
If that's an issue, don't worry about it, bring it up next meeting.
Nope. Nope, we're gonna go through this real quick.
I don't know if I can share it.
You may have.
Aaron, I don't know if I was, is this what you want to add?
Nope, this is 3-part.
I don't know.
Yeah, I may not. Now I gotta go.
She rescues us a lot. I make a noise. She's like, everything okay in there?
Okay. The other one is already.
No, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Finally, I get to really show my neck. Okay, so one of the things I want to bring to your attention here, if we look at this. So we presented the administrative, the capital, and the program component. So right now, we have a dollar value on our presentations of $36,901,286, which represents a 2.96% increase over last year's budget. Now, our revenue from earlier at $36,383,500. Wow, we currently have a gap of $517,000. Not a bad thing, just the first flush. Going back into the administrative and capital components, which were presented already, I have come up with, I think, one thing in the capital component, we talked about a new pickup truck. We're trying to, and I think we'll be able to purchase that this year, so I can reduce that to next year's budget. In the administrative component, there's a couple things we can save there, and as we get into the program, we'll work on this. So even though there's a gap there currently, my job in the next 2 weeks is to finalize that with all the administrative input from across the street, get this gap narrowed, come up with a revenue stream, and match it. That's my goal, and I have a great team for every place that helps out and does this. So what you're going to see at the 316 meeting, we hope to have a final version of the budget to present. Not in extremely large detail, but changes, things that have changed in all the components that we have matches revenue and expenditures. If we have any updates on New York State aid, we will bring those to your attention, and any other information related to the budget. We have another meeting on 3:30. Any updates will be presented there, any input and changes in those last 2 months. The last 3 weeks of March are a very active area for any business official creating budget. Things change a little bit, more information becomes clear. So we're just working our way through that. We do have at 3:30 a possible budget adoption. That's a pipe dream of mine because it makes my life a lot easier as we enter April and try to get everything printed. But April 11th is the drop dead date of a budget adoption. As we move out of the 316 meeting, I would anticipate some of you will have some more questions you need to ask. You can ask them anytime between now and before the 316 meeting. I'm getting information from across the street. A lot of it's coming in this week and early next week, I believe. So, like I said, we're probably about where we should be in developing this budget. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I didn't know you were done. I apologize.
That's okay.
Keeping in mind, and you don't have to answer now.
Okay.
Keeping in mind the state of the economy and not getting us in trouble down the road. Paying today is better than tomorrow. But we need to think about what's happening in our economy and our community. So I'm really relying on you for that information because you're the main man here and you're going to keep us out of trouble. But we need to have a quality education program at Tri-Valley to continue. Thank you.
One thing I just wanted to say, George, if you look at our tax, Pat, you've been on the board for quite a while, as we started years ago with the tax cap. The tax cap was something that a lot of people were very fearful of. Oh my God, we'll never be able to sustain anything. Well, the nice part of the tax cap in the first 5 years of it were if yours went up $100 and yours went up 60 and yours went up 80, they gave you the money. So you had to really just might as well take advantage of your tax cap, whatever it was, because at least you're setting your baseline. However, 2 years ago, when they said, okay, the tax cap now does not allow, its law does not allow for rebates to everybody for their increase. That's when we started immediately going to 0% tax levy. Then we had a negative levy. Then we had a small end. So this number here, the 2.5 or 6%, $500,000, that's just a calculation. That's not the final determination. And even as we develop a revenue stream for the budget, if we come up with $500,000, that doesn't mean that taxes will go up $500,000, the amount of the levy in August, because information changes. So you will see many districts, they may say they're going to levy $1 million, and they levy less than that because certain things change. Maybe their fund balance creeped up a lot, and they have to be. That's the time to be very cognizant of your taxpayers, and still knowing that you can get that. So it's a process, and I know that the taxpayers of this district are phenomenal. I have a lot of respect for them, but I also have to be very cognizant of not trying to take advantage of that and trying to keep forward. It's a little bit of a balancing, and I appreciate what you said, because you know, economies are economies. We've been through a lot in the past 3 years as a country. The thing that's bothering us more than anything else is that CPI number, because when you have transportation and cafeteria costs for education tied to that, your hands are a little bit. So, you know, for something to go up 7%, that's a lot. So we try to find ways to make sure we.
I do know that we have 6 towns in our school district, and every one of them have their own assessed value. I recall years ago when I first came on the board that our budget went up 2%. Man, oh man, did I get calls from one of the towns. Theirs went up over 20%. So, well, how can that be? Well, I didn't understand the process, and I believe a lot of people does not understand that today. So we have to be particularly cautious of that and think about the total parameters of everything.
One of the challenges of any person trying to tell the public what their taxes will go up is I cannot tell anybody what their taxes will be. The numbers that I present are a change in the tax levy dollars. It does not equate to each individual taxpayer because of assessment rates, equalization rates, and the formula comes out. So, and each township's different, but they do reapportionment, they do reevaluation. It is very difficult. We field phone calls. We had over my time here, a couple of people come in and we take the formula and take their piece of property and walk them through it and how they did. And, I think we're all probably admit taxing people in any way, shape, or form is never fair.
One other question. State aid numbers are based off of student numbers from this year for next year, or is there a lag like some of the other things it seems with the state?
Not so much student numbers. State aid is based upon, usually by October 1st, I submit what's called an ST3. It's a review of every penny spent the prior year. There is, now each section of that state aid, if you look at it, they all have formulas that are very here and there. Transportation is about this long. But the student numbers do count. But it also is about the number you spent before, how you spent it, where it went to. There's so much reporting that takes place between that transparency, there's many factors that go into that. The wealth ratio of a district really plays heavily into state aid. If you looked, and I think I mentioned it at the very first presentation, the foundation aid, and there was 3 districts in this county that received a whopping amount of money in additional foundation aid to make whole. There's a very good article, and maybe if I can I'll get it out of my ASBO. It talks about foundation aid and how it's being distributed, but that wealth ratio thing, the districts that have less wealth, have more poverty, got a big hit this year. Not that we got a small increase. We got a couple of years ago, we got a better increase than others. So, and Dr. Silver last year presented something about the cliff, the foundation aid. This year, the state really bumped up a lot of numbers in aid on the foundation aid. Can they maintain that? That's the question. That's why for me, not to see a big increase, I was actually happy. Because at least now, if the cliff happens, my reaction doesn't have to be that large. Other districts may have to be that large. So, again, you got to look at the whole parameter like that. But there is quite a few different formulas impacting building aid. Our building aid went down because one of our projects has been fully aided. Hopefully, in the 24-25 school year, this project will be done August 31st. I can submit my final cost reports and start reaping state aid in the 24-25 year on this benefit. So that'll change.
Has there been any thought in talking about the BOCES program? Can we offer, since our student population going down, we got a lot of classroom space, can we offer something here that's more beneficial to them and more cost effective? They are losing 2 hours of education every day on the bus, and that's a lot. Maybe a homeschool setting would be better off for them. Have we ever thought about that in more reasonable cost? Can we look at that a little closer, or I'm sure you have?
So let's look at BOCES in 2 levels, broken up in their general education, special education. Let's talk about the general education. Our career and tech program, our students that we send to BOCES, numbering about 44, 46, whatever it is. There's 46 kids that go there. Very expensive program. This year, the administration has done a great job in starting to talk about how we can bring some of those students back on campus, because we have some staff members and some programs here that are really, really good. So we're talking about trying to do that. It doesn't happen like that, but we have discussed that. Mrs. Cornish and I speak frequently about special ed. it's a tough thing to do. You know, years ago, I remember reading an article about when you have available talent to bring in to teach. One of the things we have, and every school does, there's not a lot of teachers. It's very difficult to recruit staff. The conversation takes place. Can we offer a program in-house here that possibly another district might want to send kids? The conversation is taking place. It's not simple sometimes because you want to make sure it's successful. So I will tell you my colleagues talk about that all the time. Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, next item on the agenda would be item 7 is the superintendent's report from Superintendent Erin Long.
Good evening, Tri-Valley. Lots of good news to share tonight. First, I want to give a shout out to Ashley Whiteman and Lou Giles. Both have been really active with Sullivan 180 and our wellness team. Ashley recently was awarded $2,000 for a beautification grant, and her design and landscape class have designed our boxes out front, and they'll start transforming that in the springtime. Lou Giles also won a $2,000 grant from Sullivan 180 through the Healthy Generation program, and she'll be purchasing window coverings that kind of encourage a healthy lifestyle, and then purchasing games for kids to play with after they're finished with their lunches. Last week, we had our showing of Tuck Everlasting, both on Thursday the 23rd and Friday the 24th. The musical was amazing. Our band was fantastic. Our actors were fantastic. And I just want to give a shout out to our dedicated staff and our parents and our students for all their preparation, their rehearsals, their set design, and putting together 2 amazing nights. I think we don't realize all the work that goes into that, but if you're here at night and you can see them hoofing up and down the stairs, and they are here practicing and practicing and practicing. So it was fantastic. Last Sunday, if you had the opportunity to join us for our Harlem Wizards community event, we hosted 2 games, one at 1 o'clock, one at 5 o'clock. The 1 o'clock game was sold out and the gym was packed. We actually had to turn away about 20 people to come back to the 5 o'clock game. And the 5 o'clock game was just as full, nearly sold out. Both events were so well organized. We keep kind of patting ourselves on the back. We didn't have a glitch the whole day. And again, it was all because of the volunteers who dedicated their time to make this happen. Preliminary numbers from our sales let us know we're going to be able to donate about $1,300 to our TVTA Cares program and $1,300 to our Tri-Valley PTO. So it was just really a wonderful day. Last Friday, I hosted the Coffee and Conversation. We had 4 members from our community as well as some of our staff attend. The next meeting, we're going to switch gears and do it on an evening. I'm planning for Tuesday, March 28th from 5 to 6 p.m. The location will be announced. We know people work during the day, and we want to make sure that we offer different opportunities for people to come in. I haven't told Bob yet this, but it's going to be a focus on school budget. So I'll make sure you get that on your calendar. And then finally, Mr. Biebenroth has done a wonderful job organizing our Read Across America event this morning. I know some of our board members and myself got to spend some time in classrooms reading to children. I was with Mrs. Bertrero, her kindergarten class. I learned all their names. I learned their favorite foods. We got to look at all their deer outside in the yard, and all the deer have names. It really was the highlight of the week. So thank you, Mr. Biebenroth, for organizing such a great day. All I got.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Long. Moving along to item number 8. Anything that the board wants pulled from tonight's agenda? Okay, move to number 9, the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Rose,
Second.
second by Pat. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
I vote nay. And the reason I'm voting nay is not for the content, it's the process. And I will expand on that at a later date, but it won't be tonight because I want to expand on something else. But please, if any board members have a concern of my concern, please call me. I will not be online. So just pick up the phone good old-fashioned way. I would appreciate any input you have. Thank you.
Okay, we have 1 no and 7 yay. And be it resolved, the board approves the consent agenda, recommended action, including the business portion, items 9A through L. Thank you. Next item up is item number 10, board committee reports. And tonight we have a series of first reading policies. We're going to start with 10A is a policy summary sheet updated for March 2nd, 2023. Policy review for policy number 4321.12, use of timeout rooms, physical restraints, and aversives. First reading, it's for information only. Policy number, letter C, policy number 4321.12-R, regulation, use of timeout rooms regulation, first reading, for information only. Letter D, policy 4321.12E, exhibit parent notification of use of timeout room or physical/mechanical restraint, first reading, for information only. Letter E, policy number 4327, homebound instruction, first reading, for information only. Letter F, policy 6830, expense reimbursement, first reading, for information only. Letter G, policy 6830-R, regulation, expense reimbursement regulation, first reading, for information only. Policy, letter H, policy 9645, disclosure of wrongful conduct, parentheses whistleblower policy, first reading, for informational only. We're finished with item 10, so we'll move to item 11, old business. I don't believe we have any old business to discuss tonight. So I move to item number 12, public comment session for items that are not on tonight's agenda. And I have one person speaking tonight, Miss Amanda Snoop Barnes. If you'd like to please step up to the podium and turn on the microphone. Good evening.
Good evening. I want to give you a brief background. I'm a parent of 4 children in Tri-Valley School District, and I've also been practicing social work for 13 years, with 6 years of my experience being an advocate for children in foster care in 7 counties throughout the Hudson Valley. The other 4 years were in school settings. So I'm coming as a concerned parent and a social worker. I'm concerned about the special education or lack thereof in the secondary school. Found out last week there are 0 one-to-one aides in the secondary school, but the 7th and 8th grade special education can be difficult. It raises several questions. First, is the district not following least restrictive environment and trying one-to-one aides prior to referring out to outside school district placements? My second is, are students being denied accommodations that they are legally qualified for by federal and state law? I was informed when I requested a one-to-one aide for my foster son that there are no one-to-one aides in Tri-Valley. And also, one-to-one aides' salary is a lot cheaper than the tuition to Kaplan or BOCES. Besides that concern, I posted online to see if there's any bias against foster children, status, birth family origins, or if this is just a bias towards my son. I heard Tri-Valley has a trend of not honoring legal accommodations because Tri-Valley doesn't do them. I also heard we are not the first foster family that has had issues with Tri-Valley. I believe the board should have a quality assessment completed for families with children who have experience with CSE in the last 3 years, especially in the secondary school, including ones in out-of-district placements. See if the district-level interventions were first done prior to placement, including one-to-one aids. My other question is why, regarding with a student moved into a district, is getting 2.5 hours of tutoring, 4 days a week of tutoring is acceptable for Tri-Valley. When I hear we pride ourselves in achieving education excellence and wanting higher attendance. If I sent my other 3 children in for 1.5 days a week, which is about the amount of school he is receiving right now, you would call CPS on me. Meanwhile, my foster son is 2 weeks shy of 3 months registered in the school district, and the amount of schooling he has received is not equal to a month of schooling. I want to thank you for your time and consideration, and I would like to follow up from the board.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes, for the comment. Okay, next item is item number 13, announcements, reminders, and upcoming events. Mr. Pulley, would you like to?
We live in an ever-changing world. I tried to give you a listing of our current electives and college courses, only to realize that I left off our visual arts programs and one college course, that being U.S. history. I'll update it and get it to Mrs. Long and Norma to send out to you tomorrow morning. So the exciting thing is that in excess of 55 courses for electives, and we will be offering 48 college credits next year. So pretty exciting. Mrs. Long has talked about Tuck Everlasting. I complimented the directors and the students. It's the first time as I sat there, it was almost as if each child was playing the perfect role picked exactly for them. It was an incredible experience. So we do have the middle grades coming up in April doing Snow White. Unfortunately, with the impending weather, our town hall reenactment for tomorrow with our sister school, Columbia Secondary School in the city, has been canceled. We needed to make that decision midweek, and midweek it looked as though Friday would be very iffy. We will be doing that reenactment with our own students in 8th grade on Monday morning. Also, the middle school, high school all-county music festival, which was slated to be at Liberty tomorrow night and Saturday, has been right now postponed till Sunday, and they'll make a decision midday on Saturday whether or not Liberty will be hosting that on Sunday. Colin Metnich is doing a community blood drive. That's on Tuesday, March 14th from 10 until 3 o'clock. And this is part of his community service as a National Honor Society student. Tuesday, March 14th is Music in Our Schools concert, and that's from 7 to 9 p.m. We're getting into a very busy time. It's good to be talking about Color Wars for our 7th and 8th graders. That week will be the week of the 13th through the 17th. We have made a change. We queried the students in 7th and 8th grade and looked at the possibility of offering Color Wars 3 different times. We're after maximum participation, and it was the overwhelming majority who said, we want it to occur during school. So we will be offering the Color Wars on Friday, the 17th of March, periods 7 through 9 in the lower gym. The following week is competition week, and we will be having the evening competition from 6 until 9 o'clock on Friday, the 24th. Rounding it out, March 29th, we have our pre-calc presentations, which will be up in our upper gym. It's always exciting to see the time, the effort, and the uniqueness of the projects that students choose to look at through the lens of math. and it's not that far off. Saturday, the 22nd of April, will be the junior class prom, and that's at the Villa Roma this year. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pulley. Ms. Williams, would you like to step up?
Good evening, everyone. And excuse the attire. Yes, we had our Read Across America celebration today. We have our finale tomorrow, but today we were able to welcome in many visitors who came in to read Dr. Seuss books to the students. If you could have seen them entering in today, they all dressed as their favorite Dr. Seuss character, and it was an excellent day. We made sure to start off our day with a message as to what it is that we're doing all week, and we will continue all of our morning announcements for the rest of the month, highlighting it being Women's History Month. We have our March 10th Superintendent Conference Day, in which there will be no students here. However, all of our staff will be here. The last time I spoke with the Board of Education, we were talking about all of the great work that has been done with the teachers and staff to be able to adopt and continue to learn all of the ins and outs of our new reading program. On March 10th, the staff will have the opportunity to continue their learning and their embracing of this program with our ARC representative, as well as our in-house reading consultant who will be working with the staff to continue that mission. So we're excited to be able to offer the teachers time to not only speak with the teachers on their grade levels, but on the 10th, they will also be able to meet in grade bands, where they will be having conversations with grades above and below them for a period of time to be able to discuss how they see the reading program adoption going, and certainly to be able to start projecting some changes and some updates in which they would like to make to their teaching approaches for next school year. We'll be ending off that March 10th Superintendent Conference Day with some wellness activities for the staff as well. At the end of the month, on March 30th, we have the honor of having a published author that will be joining our students in grades 3 through 6, the author of the I Survived series, which is very popular amongst our 3rd through 6th graders. We'll be engaging them in conversations about what it means to be an author and what inspired her to go ahead and make that series possible for children to be able to read every day. So we're excited to be having that offered to our students. And finally, the elementary school yearbooks are on sale. It's on our website. There is a QR code as well as flyers went home as well. The pre-sales for our yearbook that will be specific to elementary school only. We have additional pages as well as a multiple variety of all of our clubs and celebrations that we had. That'll be in our yearbook this year. The pre-sales cost is $20. Once that deadline approaches, that cost does increase. But it's always a very exciting time when the students have the opportunity to be able to have their yearbooks and see all of their actions highlighted within that book. And that's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Our next item up is item 14, and that is new business. And we have a legal notice for the school vote 2023. It's an action. Can I have a motion to accept the school board legal notice for 2023?
Motion. So moved.
Motion by Pat. Motion by Randy.
So
Second.
moved.
Second by George.
So moved.
Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Yay.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board approves the legal notice for the annual school budget vote and board member election 2023 as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Next item is 14B, appointment amendment, school security supervisor 2022 to 2023. As an action, I have a motion to accept the reappointment of the school security.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Pat, second by George. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Yay.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent of schools that the Board of Education on its February 16th, 2023 meeting approve the appointment of Michael Kuszewski as School Security Supervisor, parentheses, civil service title, School Security Supervisor, as per Sullivan County Civil Service Rules and Regulations for the 2022-2023 school year. At its March 2nd, 2023 meeting, at its March 2nd, 2023, the Board of Education amends the start date to March 20th, 2023 for a probationary period of 26 weeks. As per confidential management MOA, the contract runs through June 30th, 2024 with benefits as per agreement and salary of $60,000 prorated. Next item is 14C, is the appointment interim administrator per diem. It's an action. Can I have a motion to accept the appointment for the interim administrator per diem?
Motion.
Motion
Second.
by Rose,
Second.
second by Travis. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Yay.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools that the Board of Education at its March 2nd, 2023 meeting approves the appointment of Margie Tenbus as interim administrator per diem. Per diem rate will be $650 per day, effective March 9th, 2023. Item number 15, board comment session. So we'll do the usual. Travis,
No.
anything? Randy, anything? Pat?
I just wanted to comment on this list of electives. It's impressive. I think for a district our size, I think it's something to be proud of. It did lead to a question, Mr. Whitaker. Do you know of any districts in the county that covers the costs for all students of college classes? I know there's smaller districts in Delaware County that cover it for all students.
I don't know the answer to that question, but I can do a little research next week or so by next meeting or earlier give you the answer to that.
That would be perfect. I know I've heard that all students who go to Sullivan from within the county, their cost of education there, it would be free. And I know most of the classes are through Sullivan because I've written many checks to them. I would be interested to know if any district has ever proposed covering these classes while kids are still in school. The kids are still receiving higher education. It's just within our own building as opposed to over there after graduation. Just a thought. Just a couple questions.
And I will check tomorrow at my superintendent's council meeting because that's a great idea. If we kind of all push, we might be able to get some answers from them.
It's available to them. It's still higher education. Just be a good idea in my book.
Tim? Good. Right. Rose?
Pat, I agree with you there. I did bring that up at the last meeting as well, and it's definitely something I'm interested in. I also wanted to just bring up policy 4321.12, 4321.12, which was on for first reading tonight. I did express some concerns with Erin about the vocabulary, about timeout rooms, and it was pointed out that it's not something that we will use if there does come a time that we would have to use a room, because we don't want it to seem like a punishment, because that's not the purpose of those rooms. So I just wanted to make it aware that the terminology will be different.
Thank you, Rose. George?
I'd like to take this time to congratulate all of our athletes, all of our students, all of our arts. There's just so many to mention here how they should be congratulated. But behind the scenes of all the support they have from our faculty, it's immeasurable. I think a lot of it was shown when we had the Harlem Wizards here. That gym was packed. with a lot of young parents and children. They did not come here totally to see those basketball players. They came here to see our staff. And that staff was very exciting and inviting to those kids. And for that, I thank them. And it wasn't just the ones that were there also on the court. There was a whole bunch of volunteers all over the school doing everything in reference to education and inviting our parents and our students here. And I thank them for that. Another thing I want to say that all of our teams, no matter what they are, we should be very proud of them no matter where they placed or what they did during the year. They're out there participating, and we offered them that opportunity, and we should be proud of that. One thing I want to mention that's more dear to me, agriculture in New York State is coming on the week of March 20th to 24th. Of course, I'm extremely biased in that nature. I've always been raised that way. But we have an organization here that is beyond reproach. I travel all over New York State at times, restaurants, auction markets, gas stations, just stopping by, talking to somebody. They know where Tri-Valley is. They say Tri-Valley FFA, and they congratulate us of how we're doing. But on that note, I think we should look into why we're doing so great. Because why are our kids gravitating to those courses with the FBLA and the FFA? What is it that they want? What are they getting out of it? And I think it would go a long way to maybe some other extracurricular subjects and courses, what we offer here. If those kids are getting a lot of mental health issues out of it, that is one of the best things we could possibly have. And we should be very proud of our whatever we have here at Tri-Valley because we're doing a good job. And it all starts with our staff, and they are very involved. Sometimes they don't go noticed as much as they should, but we should be extremely proud of them as well. And maybe anybody might have something to offer in reference to the FFA. Mrs. Long?
Thank you, Mr. Dean. So I received a phone call from Dr. DeFore, who is our district superintendent for Sullivan County the other day. He was in Albany doing some of his deputy superintendent work, and the commissioner, they're looking at coming to school districts to look at their CTE program. So that's career and technical education, to see if they're really going to balance a new graduation requirement. And Dr. DeFore had recommended Tri-Valley to come spend the day to the deputy commissioner and their team to see what we do at our FFA programs and to really set the example that it's an excellent way for kids to go through their high school education and earn a diploma. So waiting for the phone call to set up the time and date for that visit, but it'll be really exciting to showcase ourselves to them.
Thank you. One other thing I might add, I believe we're having a visitor tomorrow in a class from hopefully from New York City, and maybe Mr. Hayes could relate to that and maybe give us a little more idea on that. It's been canceled? I'm so sorry to hear that. Maybe we can reschedule it because it does have to do with water quality and substance in upstate New York and the reservoirs. And without clean water and clean air, you don't have anything. So I give Mr. Hayes a lot of credit for bringing them together and having a talk about that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, George.
That's Mr. Haynes, not Mr. Hayes. I apologize.
So I just have two quick items. Mentioning community schools again for our district. We did some surveying during the Harlem Wizards night, and we picked up, I think probably in somewhere around 20 to 25 surveys from people. I have not found out what the data is on that, but again, just just an effort to try to reach out to the community and connect with them with, see what their interests are. The other item is attended the Sullivan County School Boards Association this week, the meeting, and it was a virtual meeting, unfortunately, but Dr. Hilton, Ken Hilton, wrote a letter called the White Paper on the future status of the New York State Regents diploma. It's a great letter addressing our education system. It's a 4-page document or so, but everyone got it emailed to them this week. I hope you take the time to read it. And I'd like to hear if anyone has any comments that I can bring back to the school board. So if you could just do that, I'd appreciate it.
Do we have any literature printed out here?
I did not. I only have one copy if someone needs it, but I can get them.
It is online, and it's a very interesting reading. And I think every board member would be encouraged to read that because it does affect upstate New York and our children. And it come from a good source, and especially from our Sullivan County. So I encourage you to take the time to read. It's 5 pages long. It's well written, very well written. But it was written prior to COVID. But to get the attention of New York State was the proper people was difficult, and they had to follow up on it and make sure, and they got it in writing that they did receive it. So I was told. Thank you.
Thank you. And everybody, it came, the district clerk, Norma, sent it to everyone this week. So if you can check your emails, I'm sure it's sitting there. That's it. Just next item up is adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Rose, second by Tim. Please proceed to vote.
Yay.
Unanimous. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Yours,